Welcome to the Ask Amanda Show, where we solve everyday problems for the small business owner. Get nuggets of inspiration, access to experts, and answers to those burning questions preventing you from growth. Here's your host, Amanda Benson-Tilch.
Hi, welcome to another episode of the Ask Amanda Show. I don't even know what number this is. I'm just so excited to have you guys back listening. I have a great guest here today. Her name is Michelle Ray. Let me tell you a little bit about Michelle and why she's sitting here today. One of my favorite subjects that we're going to be talking about today, which is the power of philanthropy. And I asked Michelle to be a guest for you to provide some great value to you, mostly because of all of her experience. But we recently met this last year, and she has a consulting business for the nonprofit world.
Nonprofit and for-profit.
And for-profit, yeah. Which is
philanthropy world.
Philanthropy world.
Philanthropy
There you go.
world.
So let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. So with expertise in nonprofit fundraising and corporate giving, Michelle Ray is uniquely positioned to understand both sides of a powerful philanthropic relationship. Her formal education in nonprofit management, combined with her passion for corporate social responsibility, sets the foundation for effective and lasting philanthropic matchmaking. Michelle helps nonprofits find givers and givers find purpose. We can now add the letters CFRE to her name, which stands for Certified Fundraising Executive.
Yeah,
which
huge.
is not hard. I mean, that's not easy to get,
No,
right?
it's not. It's a minimum of, 3 to 4 years in the field and professional work, fundraising at least $1.4 million, several hours of professional development and conferences, and then you have to take a 4-hour exam, and
It's crazy.
and there's only 7,000 of us in the world.
Right.
I am one of only 7,000.
And you get to say of us, which
us.
is really exciting.
Yeah.
So before we dive into some things about getting involved and making a difference, awareness and action, all of these topics I want to talk to Michelle about, I want to hear a word from our sponsors, because without our sponsors, none of this would be possible. So when we get back, we'll be talking with Michelle, the importance of giving back as a small business owner, employee giving. I want to talk about the power of an engaged board. So a lot more when we get right back.
As business owners and professionals, you have so much on your plate. You never stop to think about your headshots, marketing video, or personal branding until you need it now. Then you're scrambling to figure out what to wear, how to match your brand, what to say, how to reach your target audience, and how to use your visuals in a way that actually makes an impact in your marketing.
You quickly realize you don't have any of the answers because you're not supposed to. You're not a professional marketer, model, or TV personality. You're an executive who needs efficiency, superior quality, and a little direction. You also want to feel good when you step in front of the camera, and maybe even have a little bit of fun too.
Hi, this is Brian and Lindsay Schlick with SchlickArt Photography and Video. We provide professional headshots, marketing photography, business videos, video subscriptions, and more to help you market your business with compelling visuals and a streamlined experience. We guide you through the process every step of the way, so you can feel your best on camera and make the biggest impact in your marketing.
Visit SchlickArt.com to see how we can help you take your brand to the next level and look good while doing it.
Welcome back to the Ask Amanda Show. I am sitting here with my lovely guest, Michelle Ray, who has a great consulting business called Pop with Michelle, which is the power of philanthropy, which is what we are talking about today and why she is here. So Michelle, why don't you tell us more about how you got involved in the philanthropic world?
Yeah, thank you. Right out of college, I started working at a law firm as a legal analyst, and one of my clients had actually passed away from cancer. And I was really affected by this, more so than I thought that I would have been. And I started to volunteer at City of Hope, a cancer hospital here. And I realized I loved it. I was so passionate and I really enjoyed all of the work that I was doing there just as a volunteer. And so when an opportunity came up to work for them, I jumped on it and I left my law firm. Wow. and started working in philanthropy at City of Hope. And that's when I realized, wow, this is what I was meant to do for the rest of my life. And I wanted to do my due diligence and do justice to the career, to the profession. And so I dove into professional development, certifications in fundraising and nonprofit management. Then I decided to go back to grad school and get a master's in public administration with an emphasis on nonprofit management. Wow. Yeah. And that's when I realized, even though my passion was ignited later in life for philanthropy, I realized that it was instilled at such a young age, thinking back to my mother. So my mother was a single parent mom, and she was in college when she had me, on welfare, food stamps. We didn't come from significant means or anything. But in her spare time, in the little spare time that she had, she would strap me into the car seat in the back and drive around Austin, Texas, delivering for Meals on Wheels.
Oh, wow.
And then I remember being in elementary school, volunteering with my mom. She would take me to the soup kitchen with her to serve dinners, and we would spend our Easters at battered women's shelters, where she would be with the women and I would hang out with the kids, and we'd bring Easter baskets. And so that's where my mother really showed me that you don't have to be wealthy to be philanthropic.
Right. That is key, actually, and I kudos to her for saying that and doing that, showing that to you, and fulfilling her own need to give back while teaching you. So you just grew up with it. You
and I didn't even realize it until I was older that this is
that's what that was giving back. I had a similar story with my family. I just grew up with, my dad was very involved in the community, giving back. And I actually was annoyed by it all the time, because we would have, spoiled teenager, we would have all these meetings at our house, like breakfast, pancake breakfast, and all this, like 7:30 in the morning. Like, what are we doing? I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
But I same thing. Like, I learned very young age, teens, I guess, more, not as young as you, but how important it is to be involved in the community that you live. So I think that's great. And then what was kind of like the next steps that helped you, like after Circle of Hope, and like after what is kind of like led you to have your own consulting business, if you will, and like what drove you to want to help others do better?
Yeah, it was a combination of a lot of things. First, kind of started with my son, actually, who he was around the house, and I saw him collecting some of his toys, and he was putting his toys into a bin, and I said, Avery, what are you doing? And he said, I'm collecting my toys to give to kids who don't have toys. And I was just like, ugh.
Love him, yeah.
And I realized, like, he's listening and watching everything that I'm doing, and I'm raising a young philanthropist, whether I realize it or not. And so part of me wanted to, do my due diligence, and I felt that I had a sense of duty to help our community and help other parents and other families raise young children that were, conscious and confident and conscious, individuals. And I saw this, plethora of knowledge that I had, both from my formal education, my professional development, and I wanted to share that with other nonprofits that maybe don't have access to hire major gift officers, or hire someone to run an appeal for them, or hire somebody to do events, or hire somebody to tell them how to do direct mail solicitations.
Right.
Because they can't afford somebody to do that doesn't mean that they still have great purpose and they're doing amazing things in the community. So I said, how can I take my knowledge, my resources, my professional experience and help you so you can go help others?
Yeah, and be better, which is so great. I feel like, boy, we're in alignment, because that's what my whole Ask Amanda is about. But you, on the other side of things, I just feel like you have stepped into, knowing you for a little bit now, you've definitely stepped into your gift to the world. And teaching, I want to talk a little bit about I want you to share with us about how important it is to bring it into the home, and to start there, where to teach our children and just our spouse and whoever we bring into our home about the importance of giving back from starting from home.
Yeah, with philanthropy starting in the home.
Yeah.
I realized that my son was watching everything that I was doing, mimicking me, and it really took effect when he was collecting his toys to give to other kids that didn't have toys.
Oh, wow.
And actually, a funny story, when he said, I asked him if he wanted another sibling, and he said, no. And I said, what about, he said he wanted a brother. And I said, what if God gives you a sister? And he said, then I'll give her to somebody else that doesn't have babies, that doesn't have a little sister. I'm like, my kid is taking philanthropy to like the next level over here, giving away his siblings already.
Oh my gosh, Michelle, that's cute. And the irony of it is she did have a girl, so he stuck with her. That's so cute.
Yeah,
So funny.
but wanting to raise a son and a daughter that are caring individuals, and that care about everybody, regardless of where they come from, what their background is.
Right.
Me myself coming, being Heinz 57 over here. We're just raising a whole bunch of brown babies. I want them to love everybody.
Right.
And so where it starts in the home is realizing first off that your actions are being, witnessed and mirrored by your children. And so being more intentional about them, of giving of your time, saying, and being vocal about it, of saying, I'm going to spend the next, half hour just playing with sister, or I'm going to give daddy some time, or I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to go in the backyard and play with my kids and let them know that I'm doing this because I care about you, because I love you. And even in the neighborhood, we'll be driving around the neighborhood and we'll just see somebody walking and I'll wave at them. And my son says, Mommy, why are you waving at him? Why did you wave at him? Do you know him? And I said, no.
Just being kind.
Exactly. You don't have to know somebody to be nice. I said, we're friendly to everybody.
And I love that. I want to segue a little bit into what you had mentioned earlier, is that you don't actually have to have money to be a part of giving back. You can actually just roll your sleeves up. Some people just want you to show up. They might just need you to be hands on deck for the day of, or help promote an event. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do that would help an organization that doesn't involve money, but starting by just being kind.
Right, and volunteering and taking your kids with you, taking your kids along with you when you go to volunteer, just like my mom had done with me.
Yeah, which is great. Well, let's talk a little bit about the importance of, now that we know where it starts in the home, is what can small business owners do? So the importance of giving back as a small business owner. I personally always talk to my clients about giving back should be a line item on your budget, like which charity organization are you supporting this year or again, and there's a way to do that. It doesn't necessarily mean, again, a dollar amount, but which I want you to share with us, because we talked about this off camera, some of the ways that you can create an employee giving campaign. So why don't you share with us the importance of giving back as a small business owner, as well as employee engagement.
Yeah. Well, and obviously the straight out answer is, of course, small businesses, corporations, for-profit businesses can give back just by straight donating, just cutting a check, which on the nonprofit side, we don't mind that. We'll take it. We take it.
All money is good here.
Right, it is. But we also really value relationships and engagement. And that's why when you give the gift, sharing about it with your community in the way that you are supporting your community and letting everybody know that we are investing in this organization or this nonprofit because we care about this. Like letting people know it's not about bragging about I gave away this money, but it's about sharing that we are making a statement to the community that we support this organization and what they stand for and what they believe and what they do for our community, and we want to support the work that they're going to continue to do.
So important.
And then encouraging your employees to follow in suit, and that's where you can even bring an employee giving program.
Yeah, what are the two different things that you wanted to share with me? I thought this was great, or share with us about the employee, like developing a campaign.
Yeah, so you can encourage your employees to donate. And if you really want to support, nonprofits in your community, you can say, if you give any gift that you give to a nonprofit in the community, we will match.
I love that.
You can do dollar for dollar matching. You can do 2-for-1. I know I think Amex does 2-for-1, where if their employee gives $100, Amex is going to give $200, kind of thing. And then you can also encourage them to volunteer their time. Because a lot of individuals and a lot of companies don't necessarily have a lot of extra money to be able to give out, especially in this in the global pandemic that we're in right now. And so you can encourage them to volunteer by giving incentives, saying, we will give you 8 hours a year, 16 hours a year of work time to go and volunteer in the community.
That's so great.
And then you build incentives into it, where after 16 hours of volunteering, you'll get a gift card for coffee.
Right,
and
or
after
free lunch or something.
Exactly, free lunch, or half of a day of work off, or a full day of vacation day after you reach a certain point.
I really love that idea. I think that that's something to consider, that a lot of organizations can develop into their employee handbook, and like the things that benefits, if you will. I think that would be a benefit that they can add. And it helps support the employees' passions as well. And it also helps, the company be more involved and engaged in the community without necessarily having to be the one to give the dollar,
It's like the philanthropy in the home, but in the workplace. The parent or the manager saying, we're going to volunteer, we want you to do it as well. We're going to give, we want you to do it as well.
Think that's great. Do you ever come across any small business owners that struggle with how to choose an organization to give back, or they don't know exactly where to start, so maybe they just don't, or like, because I get questioned a lot on, Amanda, so we want to get involved, and but we don't know where, like, we don't know what are the good nonprofit organizations to get involved in. And so I always start asking them, well, what are you passionate about? What is that what you would say? Like, yeah, like,
absolutely.
and then try to match that, try to find them, like, try to align them with the organizations that I think that they would benefit from as well, you know, like being a part of.
Yeah. When you give to an organization that has a connection and a mission and a vision that's aligned with your personal mission and vision and values for your family, that's when the reward of involvement and engagement is so, pays off in spades, because you have that connection, so you really care that much more about what you're contributing to.
So that's a really good tip, everybody. So if you are a small business owner and you don't know where to start to get involved, so take a look at your core values, at your mission statement, at your vision that you've drafted with your company, and then try to do a little research online to find out what other organizations that are aligned with that you want to support, that also match, like, maybe your passion, and get the employees involved in everything as well. I think that's a really great idea.
And do your due diligence, just like you said, do your research. Nonprofit organizations have their 990s available online. It's public information, so it's really important to be able to pull that up.
What's a 990, just so someone doesn't know?
It's how a nonprofit, it's like when you file your taxes and you file your tax return, it's how a nonprofit discloses what they do with their money. Because in order to have that status of a 501c3, the government gives special, kickbacks to nonprofits. And so we have to be transparent and disclose everything that we're doing in a nonprofit. And that's through a 990 of saying, this is the money that we brought in. This is what we did with it. These are the salaries that we pay individuals.
And you're saying the 990 would be on any nonprofits. That's a website.
Yeah, you can use GuideStar, you can use Canvas, you can just Google, Google nonprofit and then just have the word 990 at the end. And you can go and see how they're spending their money.
I think that's important. Do your due diligence. Very good takeaway. Well, thank you for all of those tips. When we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors. And when we do, we want to come back and talk about one of the things that I'm passionate about, which is being on a board, serving on a board, and the power of board engagement, as well as the power of volunteers and how important that those are. I know that you have some things to say about that. So when we hear a word from our sponsors, we'll be right back and we'll talk more with Michelle. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, then you know how to hustle. You show up every day, you put in the work, and you dedicate yourself day in and day out to making that amazing dream come true. But building a brand doesn't always go as planned. Sometimes it feels like no matter how hard you try, you just can't get past a certain block, fix a specific problem, or take that next step on a daunting project. How do you get yourself from where you are to where you want to be? That's when you ask Amanda. Hi, I'm Amanda Benson-Tilch of Ask Amanda, a boutique consulting firm driven by passion and good ideas. I help solve everyday problems for the small business owner, from customer service to marketing to goal setting. I've never met a client I wasn't able to help, because if I can't solve your problem myself, I'll connect you to the person who can. Are you ready to finally break through your toughest problems? Visit askamandaconsulting.com to see how I can help. Because if you ask me, you'll get a solution. Welcome back to the Ask Amanda Show. I'm sitting here with my lovely guest, Michelle Ray, with Pop with Michelle, her nonprofit and for-profit consulting business. And we are going to dive into one of my favorite topics because I am a board member. I want to talk about the power of an engaged board, the importance of volunteer engagement, and I think I'm just going to sit back and let you take it from there. No, but there's a lot to be said about that because, some people do sit on a board just to sit on a board. They want their name attached to it. Some people volunteer just because they just want to help out and then they don't want any part of it. So I want you to dive in a little bit more and share with us about how important it is if you do serve on a board, kind of what's expected of you, politely and respectfully, but let's give it to them.
Well, in the philanthropy world, we have these things that are called concentric circles. And that's like if you were to throw a rock into a pond and you see the ripples that happen. The concentric circles represent the individuals in the different circles in importance because the strongest circle is right at the center where the rock hits. And then as it goes out, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. So at the center of your concentric circle are your board members and your major gift donors and management. But to realize that board members are part of that strongest circle just encourages and reinforces the importance of the relationship with our board members, because your board members represent the health of the organization, the health of the foundation. Yep. Absolutely, yeah. And so you must involve them, you must involve your board members in some stage of the philanthropic process. Okay. And you do that by respecting what their philanthropy language is, kind of like your love language. Everybody gives love and receives love in different ways. Everybody has different strengths and weaknesses, and we have different strengths to contribute to the philanthropy language as well.
Love that.
Yeah, and so they can contribute from any stage, whether it's the identification to help you identify individuals to engage, or the cultivation stage where you're building on that relationship. Maybe a board member might be really comfortable with taking somebody golfing or spending time with them, welcoming an individual or a donor to their home for cocktails or tea. Maybe some board members are comfortable with the solicitation and have no problem going out there and making the ask. And then there's also the stewardship phase, the saying thank you, the showing the gratitude phase. And maybe some board members would love to just sit there and make thank you calls to donors, or write thank you cards, or host a thank you event. It's all about the philanthropy language.
So how, as that center rock and as the that power, that board, how do they go about identifying those strengths in the board? Like, is there a secret sauce to that? Is it through the interview process, or like do you recommend the board actually, or the management team, like reach out to them and like try to find out how they can better serve?
Yeah, it's all about engagement, communication, and information. Sometimes you realize that your board members maybe just don't know all of the different stages of the philanthropy process.
True. That's very true.
Yeah, and so maybe it has to do with just having a board retreat and sharing with them. These are the different stages. There's 7 different stages of the philanthropy process. A lot of people don't even realize that. There are 7 different stages.
Please tell us.
Oh, dang, I'm getting quizzed right now. This is on my CFRE exam. This is on my CFRE exam. They're going to take my certification away.
No, if you can't remember them all, you know what I'll do is I'm going to post them in our show notes, because I do think that that's actually something that's worth referencing.
Yeah, it's like research, identification, cultivation, your prep for your proposal.
Okay.
Solicitation, stewardship, and then repeat.
Well done, Michelle. Well done. No, but that's good.
Repeat the process.
And then repeat the process. But I'm going to add those to the show notes, because that is something that I think that if you haven't heard of that before, that you should definitely take note of. So thank you for sharing that part. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, I love it.
Oh, you're the one who said it. Yeah. No, but so that's really important. But I do think it's I love what you said, that you have to, it's all about engagement, that you really have to be reaching out to your board on a constant basis and kind of seeing, because maybe how they want to be involved might change over time, right? And the only way that you really know that is by talking to them.
Having a conversation with them. Right. And then also understanding that they're human, just like us, and they have their own fears. And actually some of the most common fears that board members face, just as humans do, is the fear of begging, the fear of reciprocity, and the fear of rejection. And those 3, those are ones that we as humans face all the time. So board members face those same, in the sense of they don't want to have to feel like they're begging for money. Yeah. With the reciprocity, when someone gives you a gift, now you feel obligated, you have to do something back for them. Or the fear of rejection, of asking and then someone saying no to them. The board members face that. And so it's all about also helping your board members get through that by letting them see that begging can be seen more as inviting. I'm not begging for a gift. I'm actually inviting you in to participate, to have a relationship with us, to be a part of something that we're doing. They can see reciprocity as relationship building. It's a give and take. In relationships, you're giving and taking. And there's
what can we do for you?
Exactly. You're building a relationship over time. To get this donor to invest in the work that you're doing, and then to be able to see rejection as discovery. Maybe they said no, but it might be a not right now. Or maybe something else. Okay, you said no, but that's because I asked for the wrong thing. So let me discover, what is it really that you're passionate about and that you want to give to? Maybe I asked for music, but you're really passionate about STEM.
That's true. So that, I love that you said that, because I also think that this is also a marketing opportunity for small business owners or in the corporate world, when they do develop a relationship with a nonprofit. They should be looking at it like how the board members, how can we help you? What is it that you're looking for? So you're right. Maybe I asked you to donate to this one program, and maybe you really want to get in front of this other program because those people can help your business as well. Like that give and get is kind of that's crucial. I think that is a big part of it. But what do you find? Here we go in hot water. What do you find is the most common negative thing, like that board members do that are wrong, like where they just maybe sign up and then they don't? I mean, what is it?
There's probably a combination of two. And the first one is that they sign up to be able to have their name on as a board member, but then they don't actually participate. They don't volunteer. They don't contribute of their time, talents, or treasures. Right. And then the last is that they don't give. So being the health of the organization, it's extremely important and extremely crucial to have 100% board participation when it comes to giving. Right. And actually a lot of foundations that give grants look at that. They ask how many board members your board members, what's the percentage of board giving that you have? Right. You know, they don't look at necessarily the dollar amount because that ranges from different organizations.
That's a really good point. So in order to like get the grants that you need from the government, like don't do a disservice by sitting on the board and not fulfill that requirement.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow. And that also speaks so much to the community when they see you. So for example, let's say your neighbor works for the Coca-Cola company, but he only drinks Pepsi.
Right.
Right? He doesn't drink Coca-Cola. It's like, you work there and you don't drink the product? Like, what is it about that product that you don't even invest in that product? That you invest in another product, in a rivalry product. That's kind of how the community might see a board member not supporting, their foundation of, you're on that board and you're not, that's not one of your top 3 organizations that you give to. Like, what is it about that organization then that should I not give?
Yeah, then why are you on the board? Well, let's shift gears a little bit to volunteer engagement, because a lot of the board members are technically volunteers, but like, how important is it for volunteers to really be engaged, and at what point? Because I mentioned this before, like one of the things that really bothers me about volunteers is that people will raise their hand and volunteer just so they can get a free ticket to the event, and that's fine as long as you are actually showing up and doing the hard work. But like I just think that there's a way to become a really good volunteer. That's kind of my point.
And it's about being honest with yourself, of identifying again what you're really passionate about and having that personal connection to the organization. I'm not the biggest outdoorsy person. That's not going to surprise anybody, So if I'm volunteering for like a nature organization that hosts camping outings and they want me to volunteer to take kids camping, I probably wouldn't raise my hand to sign up for that because that's not something that I'm passionate about. But one of the organizations, sorry, hang on.
No, I think that's important though. It's also just like to align yourself with the things that you are also, what are your strengths? Like, what are you gifted to help? So like, don't volunteer to like manage, people if that's not what your strengths are. Don't volunteer to be a greeter when you're too shy and you can't talk to people. like volunteer around your strengths.
Because if you have a personal connection, then it's going to make it so much easier, but then also so much rewarding for yourself when you are giving back. So one of our top 3 organizations that me and my husband give to is a nonprofit called Cranial Care Bears. And when my son was 4 months old, he had to have his skull reconstructed. And this nonprofit sends care packages for babies that are about to have surgery for craniosynostosis, and it costs nothing. I didn't pay for anything. This beautiful care package just showed up to our home with toys and pajamas and rattlers, and then like toothbrush and granola bars and stuff for mom and dad, and socks, and it was just amazing. And so I'm passionate about that because they did something for us during a really difficult time in our family, and they helped us get through it. And so me and my husband love to give back. So if somebody were to call me and say, hey, can you spend a day filling care packages for Cranial Care Bears? Absolutely. I'll do that in a heartbeat because I care about it, because I'm passionate, because I have a personal connection.
And it made a difference for you, so you want to pay it forward and make a difference for somebody else too, which I think is great. I think the things that I get involved with too, they're very similar. Like they're very much in alignment with things that have made a difference for me. Like the senior center is something that was my grandfather went to all the time, and it made such a huge difference in his life. So I try to support them as much as I can. The college and the wish education, these other boards that I serve on are like because my kids are involved and I was part of it, and I want to give back to things that made a difference for us. I think that that's really important as a volunteer to recognize what you're passionate about and then also what your gifts are. So like try to volunteer for those organizations based around your gifts.
Yeah, and it's so rewarding. And sometimes people think that it's a selfish thing, that they feel selfish when they give. Yeah. They're like, oh, I donated or I did this and I feel really good about it. Why do I feel good? Like, is that selfish that I feel so good about it?
Yeah.
And what people don't actually understand is that the part of the brain that lights up when we receive a gift also lights up when you give a gift. And so the happy hormones that are released when you receive, it's the oxytocin, the serotonin, the endorphins get released when you receive a gift. Those same chemicals get released when you give. That's why it feels good. It actually feels good to give.
Do more.
Do it more. You want to feel good? Go do something for somebody else. You're going to feel amazing.
That's right. I love that. Well, thank you for that. We're going to take a little break and we're going to hear from our sponsors. But before we do that, I want to give a shout out to a product that I use that I want to share with you guys that I think is fantastic. It's called TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy. The link is going to be below me where it's going to be my special link that will give you a lot of benefits. But TubeBuddy is a free browser extension on a mobile app that integrates directly into your YouTube account to help you run your channel with ease. If you sign up using my link, you will get a bunch of perks such as free, I can hear her going, a bunch of free access to audio and music apps like Audio Hero and Jute Deck. You also have access to free YouTube starter kit. So if you're brand new to YouTube and you want to start like publishing your videos to YouTube and you don't know kind of where to start, I definitely would suggest you start with TubeBuddy because it will just help you get started in all the right ways. If you use all their recommendations on your video before you publish it, you will get more views and subscribers, which is what we all want. So check out TubeBuddy. And when we come back, because we're going to hear from our sponsors again, without our sponsors, none of this is possible. So I'm very grateful to them. When we come back, we are going to hear a little bit more about where we can connect with Michelle. She has a special offer she's offering, and then we're going to flip the script. She's going to ask me a bunch of questions. This is the Ask Amanda Show, so we'll be right back.
Marketing isn't just about designing the right ad or creating the right slogan. It's about finding the right audience to engage with your ad. Capturing the attention of the right person is all it takes to make a client for life in today's digital world. Easier said than done, right? Well, what if you knew where your audience was already spending their time? SchlickArt video podcasts provide a platform for local influencers to share their voices with key communities here in Santa Clarita. That means audience members know, like, and trust the recommendations of their hosts. That's why sponsoring a SchlickArt video podcast is a great solution for your business. You get the benefit of a built-in audience and, most importantly, you walk away with a fully produced video commercial for your business that you can use however you like. Are you ready to reach your audience where they want to be found? Call Lindsay at SchlickArt at 661-313-3907 to inquire about becoming a sponsor for your favorite SchlickArt video podcast, because it's time to join the conversation.
Welcome back to the Ask Amanda Show. I'm sitting here with Michelle Ray, and we just got done with a very good discussion around the power of an engaged board and being a volunteer. So I hope that you guys go back and take some notes on that. I'll probably be sharing some clips of that just because there was so much important, like there was a lot of value that you gave in each one, but a lot of really important messaging that I'll probably have to break up and share separately. But why don't you tell our listeners where they can find you?
So you can find me at popwithmichelle.com. And right now, one of the specials that I'm offering is a free complimentary 30-minute consultation. So I get to hear more about your organization, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit, find out what you're passionate about, what your goals are, and then I will deliver a summary to let you know how I can help you achieve those goals.
So just really quick, tell people a little bit more about what are the services that you actually offer? Like, who's your ideal client calling you?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, ideally, it really is anybody. If you're a nonprofit organization that wants to figure out how to do a direct mail campaign, I can help you create calendars. I can help you, design the entire, annual giving direct mail campaign. If you want to know about if you need help creating a major gift program, if you need help creating a board of directors, or doing a board retreat, or structuring board, or doing board engagements. I can help with fundraising events. I can help with stewardship pieces. And then if you are a for-profit organization, if you're a corporation, I can help you with employee giving programs, employee volunteer programs. I can help do some matchmaking on what your values are for your corporation, and then identify nonprofits that are aligned with your values and do the vetting for you, so you can give directly to those organizations.
You can also help somebody get started, right? Like if they have a nonprofit idea, can you kind of guide them in like what steps they need to take?
Yeah. I'm actually doing that right now with a nonprofit in San Diego. They just bought this huge ranch to create a dog sanctuary there. Nice. And so we're just starting that now.
So I love all that. And you're offering a free consultation, a 30-minute free consultation. So if you have questions about maybe how Michelle can help you, take advantage of that. All of that is going to be in the show notes of this episode. So please take advantage of that. But now we get to flip the script, where the guest gets to ask Amanda some whatever questions that she comes up with. So fire away.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the first questions I want to ask you is regarding the takeaway from today, because you have children yourself. Yeah. And I want to ask you, what was the takeaway that you got from this conversation of how you're going to encourage philanthropy in your home?
Great question. I was thinking about this when you and I talked about it before, and you shared with me that story with your children. I try to encourage the kids to participate in some way by kind of forcing them to like say, hey, mom's got this thing that she needs help with. I need you to drive the golf cart around, or like, I need you to guide the people in the parking lot, and they're going to know what I'm talking about because they've actually done these things. So that has not been the best way, because then they get a little resentful. So I think because mom's forcing them to do it, I think my takeaway is just by letting them see what I do, which is what you've shown your kids, and you realize like your son is watching what you're doing. And so I think that's the best takeaway that I've learned from this conversation, is to just let them see how I participate and how I give back, and why I choose the organizations I have chosen, which all somehow affect our family. And maybe that's, I think that's a good takeaway. I hope everybody else has got a very similar takeaway, to figure out how you can give back and bring your family along.
And even on those organizations that you just mentioned, the organizations that you follow, what encouraged you or inspired you to be a board member and join the board of the organizations?
I don't know if I was inspired to be a board member, but I was asked and convinced. And so, of course, I said yes. I think I currently serve on 2 boards right now in pretty prominent positions. And I've said yes after doing my due diligence, because I did want to know what was involved with my participation and what expectations they had of me coming on board, and why they saw me as an asset to serve on their board and make sure that I can deliver to that. Because, just because you get asked to serve on a board doesn't necessarily mean you should just say yes. You want to make sure, like, why are they asking me, and can I deliver, to meet their expectations. I think the 2 boards that I serve on, the inspiration comes from the involvement that they have made in my life. So one of them is the College of the Canyons, which I am a student from. My son went there, my niece went there, and they just definitely, I want to be able to help other students either go there for free or just find other avenues of exposure of what it really means to them. We're developing a mentorship program and things like that. And then I serve on the Wish Education Foundation, which basically serves middle school to high school students. And I have, both of my kids were middle school and high school, and they have needs, sometimes that the state funding is not able to support, and where the teachers are always asking the parents to support. And so we as an organization try to step up and really help. And I just felt inspired to like make a difference to kids, and like basically from kids in school, from that middle school to high school into the college part of things, and where they can figure their life out. That's what inspired me, basically.
And my last question,
all right,
is for all of the nonprofits out there. What is your biggest pet peeve that a nonprofit does from the donor side? So for example, because I'm a donor to a lot of organizations, one of mine is too much mail. I get mail almost like twice a month from some organizations.
Right.
And it's like, you're talking to me too much, or you're soliciting me too much, or you're wasting too much paper. What is one of your pet peeves that a nonprofit organization does?
That's a good one from a marketing standpoint. Like, don't bombard them. I will support your pet peeve. I'm gonna raise one though.
I see your pet peeve and I raise you.
Yeah. No, but I will support that one because that is obnoxious. But on the flip side of it is the lack of thank yous, like the stewardship that you were talking about. I think the lack of what they do, they're so busy. And what I've learned, because I've also served on a lot of committees, right? So I've seen a lot from not just these two organizations, but from a lot in the community. And I'm always like, okay, well, what are we doing after this event to say thank you to the sponsors and say thank you to the people who bought tickets and say thank you to the volunteers who showed up and to the lighting and the band, and like, what are we doing to that? And that is more my biggest pet peeve, because you know what happens usually? Nothing. And I will tell you, a very nice handwritten thank you note goes a long way. Signed by the board goes even longer, because just that recognition, something showed up in the mail, a quick video saying, hey, thank you guys so much. Without all of you, we couldn't have made this happen, and what a success. We raised because of your involvement. I mean, that can go a long way. Sending them a personalized thank you gift that would be important to them. I just think the lack of a thank you is my biggest pet peeve. And I come from a marketing, side of things. So that's why I feel like I just made an arrangement with a cookie company, which is one of my local clients, that after I get to visit with the client or whatever, I already sent her my branded cards, and I will text her the message I want her to write on it. And then she puts it to the cookies and she delivers it. It's silly. It's a cookie thing, but I'm supporting her business, which I love. It's branded with my brand, and it's a proper thank you. Who doesn't like cookies? And if you don't like cookies, we can't be friends.
When
But
do I get my cookies?
yeah,
When do I get
right.
my cookies?
You're waiting for your cookies. But I think
I should do that with a popcorn company.
Yes, absolutely. Or a
Pop with Michelle.
champagne.
Cool,
Anyways,
champagne,
sorry. Yeah.
yeah.
And I know the popcorn company. I'll give you her name when we're done with this. But anyways, I think that's one of my pet peeves. But along the lines of what you said too. And also, I gotta have one more. So
got a lot of pet peeves.
I can't. It's from a marketing standpoint. Just the sloppiness of. I would like for nonprofits to be on brand. So the sloppiness of messaging and how it's not on brand, I think that can be done a lot better too. I mean, I'm coming from a marketing standpoint, so of course anything that looks off brand that a nonprofit will send out is a pet peeve of mine. So great questions, Michelle.
Well, they were great, and I'm hoping that some of the nonprofits out there were able to take some notes from donors over here of what we would love to see you guys do more of.
Good points. I like how you dug that in there. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you've shared with us today. I think that you guys definitely got some good value from Michelle and the topics that we discussed. I'm very thankful that we met last year, and here we sit today, and I look forward to where you go with Pop with Michelle. So again, all of Michelle's information, where you can find her, will be in my show notes. Look for her on social media. You have an Instagram handle too, Pop with Michelle.
Pop with Michelle, yeah.
So you can find, and please do connect with her. Thank you so much for giving your time. Stay tuned for the next episode of the Ask Amanda Show.
Oh, okay, wait. I have a bonus question. One more. Can I ask one more question?
Of course.
Okay. What is the most rewarding part about volunteering and being part of nonprofit organizations?
Okay, good question. I like the words rewarding. Obviously, like what you had mentioned earlier about the serotonins, there is something to be said about giving back. And I think that I have a very similar story to your mother's story about, like, when I was single with the kids, it was very difficult for me to find ways to give back, but I did find them, and it felt so good. So even though I didn't have the dollar to give, I certainly had my time. And I think that it just does. It feels so good. And to be truthful, in Santa Clarita mostly, there's so many organizations that in the nonprofit world that need help, that there's no reason for somebody not to want to be involved. We can find something for you. If you need help trying to find an organization to connect to or serve, please reach out to either one of us. We will help you find them. But that's the best thing, is like the most rewarding thing is just how it feels to give back. Even if nobody knows I did it, I know.
It feels good to do good.
It feels good to do good. That's how we're ending. It feels good to do good. So go do good, people. Ask Amanda Show. We'll see you next time.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode. Do you have a topic you'd love to hear about? Or is there something you want to ask Amanda? Make sure to comment below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel so you get a notification whenever we post new videos.